everybody. That was so close. We're so close to completing the comeback on that one. I mean, they did in some ways complete the comeback and get back in this one. But oh man, that that overtime was not great. That was the most like anticlimactic finish to a Kraken game that we've gotten in a while, honestly, right? But I think the team showed us a lot in this one. They showed a lot of resilience. They showed a lot of effort. There's a lot of positive takeaways from this one, even if all the energy felt like it was sucked out of Climate Pledge Arena right there at the very, very end when Cole Caulfield was able to put that one home. So, yeah, we'll get to it all here on Post Game Live, presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. And a reminder that this Kraken are back in Seattle after these games. You can walk on down from CPA to Queen Anne Beer Hall, get yourself a $5 smash burger. It's a fantastic deal, fantastic way to support the Beer Hall, a fantastic way to celebrate after a night like tonight, where the Kraken, again, they scored like 3 goals in 9 minutes to come back in this one. Incredible effort considering how they started this game and how kind of listless and slow and out of it they looked. Credit again, Lane Lambert and the coaching staff for being able to make some adjustments from period 1 to period 2, and then from period 2 to period 3. Team just looked like a completely different group. Felt very similar to game 1 of the season, really, right? That Anaheim game, that home opener, where Kraken needed a little bit to figure it out, get back in the game. And I think that's what ended up happening. And they end up, they get rewarded with a point for it. And, we take that. We take that. And there's, things that they could have definitely done different and improved upon. And I think there's a reason they're walking out of here with 1 point instead of 2 points tonight. That's what we'll get into on this post game live. We've got the full hour to sort it out. RJ will be with us in a little bit, and we'll hear what Coach Lane Lambert had to say, as well as some players. I'm guessing Brandon Montour will probably be one of those players that we'll hear from in this one, because he had, best game of the season for him. It was an incredible performance from him, being involved in all 3 of the Kraken's goals, really creating all 3 of the Kraken goals this evening. So fantastic game for him in this one. Obviously, it's been a brutal week for him, and it was really nice to see him be able to put up this performance after, the personal tragedy that he's been through in the last week. So I'm sure we'll hear what he had to say after this one when RJ joins us in a little bit. But let's hear what you all have to say after this one. I'm going to go over into the comment section here. Maddie kicking us off. Stevie on the overtime was a choice. Lane Lambert was going back to, the veteran for overtime. I could see him not wanting to shuffle up the overtime lines, not wanting to stick things in a blender too much there. Again, you have a lot of momentum going into this overtime. I understand the coach, kind of making that call. The game is played differently. Stevie maybe handles that better. But it was a tough game for Chandler Stevenson in this one. Did look like demoted to the third line for about the second half of the game. It looked like that happened about halfway mark of the second period, maybe a little after halfway point of the second period. But did get moved down, or at least the wingers were swapped around with Shane Wright there a little bit, and Yanni Newman gets pushed down to the fourth line. Ryan Winterton comes up and starts to play a little bit more. Otherwise, up until that point, that fourth line was doing what they do, which was, control everything. Really through the first 25-30 minutes of tonight's game, and then the fourth line was by far and away the best line for the Seattle Kraken, which this fourth line has been cooking going into this game, but they need more contributions from other players, and we'll talk about that as we get going. But a couple super chats here to get to. First one from Schultz. Really appreciate it, Schultz. Thank you very much. Does Kakko return for a revenge game against the Rangers? It's certainly what some people are hoping for. We have not heard anything official yet. It's still a little bit, of a ways off. It's a minute before that game gets here, so we'll see over the course of the rest of this week, if he continues to practice, what that looks like, and what we hear from the team. I think it's going to be interesting to see where he slots in. My best guess, after thinking about it a little bit more, after we recorded the deep dive yesterday, I could really see them pulling Catton out of the lineup and then flipping Tolvanen from the right side over to the left side, create that spot on the right side for Capo Caco, and maybe we then see him with Matty Beniers, up there on the first line. In theory, it's never the first line in ice time. So that's kind of my guess as to right now. It was one of those where, I think the team has been hesitant with Berkeley Catton, right? We've talked about this. We know this. I thought that, at one point I said to RJ before the Kraken started scoring goals late in this one, I told RJ, I was like, this has been his worst game as a pro, and RJ agreed. And then he picked it up a little bit. He gets that secondary assist, and, who knows? Who knows now, right? But I do think there's a good chance that we see Capo Caco against the Rangers when that game comes around. But I'm also, again, nothing's official until we hear from the team and see how the rest of the week plays out. Edward with the big super chat. Really appreciate it, Edward. They did the mash. They did the Montour mash. They did the mash. It was a goal line flash. They did the mash. It was a CPA smash. They did the mash. They did the Montour mash. Wow. That is fantastic super chats. Love that one from you, Edward. I know there's some people in the Discord doing the Montour mash, but you filled it out. You gave me the whole verse there. That was awesome. I'm gonna have to remember that one. I'm gonna have to sing that for the rest of the week, right? Well, it's still all good and appropriate. That is good. Hopefully, I did it justice. It's cold in here. I've been having to shout over the speakers and everything up on the press bridge. So hopefully, my voice sounded okay on that. And I gave you your money's worth on the super chat, Edward. Jason, bummer that ending was anticlimactic, but the way the team battled back today was huge in making this hot start feel real for me. I'm with you, Jason. I mean, this is a team that last week, we talked about on the deep dive yesterday, answered a lot of the questions that I had for them, which was just, okay, you've lost a game. How does that affect the effort level, right? Are you able to bounce back from that? Are you able to fight through that? Are you able to come back and give a big effort performance? And we saw it in the Winnipeg game last Wednesday or Thursday, and they were able to bounce back after the two losses. They gave big effort. They continued that against the Oilers here a couple days ago. This was kind of a similar thing. Okay, you come out, you look listless, you look slow, you look out of it in this first period. You are giving good opportunities to the Montreal Canadiens. You are not generating anything. Kraken had 2 shots on goal through the vast majority of the first period. They were not doing anything. They looked very content to just sit back and let Montreal control the puck. Lane Lambert, you could see it on his face through the first period. He was mad. He did not like the way that the game was going to that point. He goes to the locker room, makes some adjustments. They come out in the second period, still not very aggressive offensively, only get 5 shots in the second period. Still not really going to the net front, not doing the things that this team has to do to generate goals. You're still not scoring on the power play. You're still allowing goals when you're down a man. But I did feel like at 5-on-5 during that second period, they corrected a lot of the issues they were having defensively. They got more solid in the defensive zone. They were able to do that. And I think that was big for them. They were able to control the puck and have more time of possession, slow the game down, take some of the wind out of Montreal's sails. So it was kind of like, okay, first intermission, goal. The mission for the second period is just stop the bleeding. Let's take the game back and we'll move on from there. And that's what they did. And then for the third period, it's okay. We're down by a couple. We need to go out there. We need to score. We need to generate offense. And they did. And they were able to go out there, generate offense, get power play opportunity. You're able to score on that, kind of kick things off there. That I think was really big for them. But it's one of those things where like this, I'm with you, Jason, like this proves a lot to me that even if they struggle out of the gate, just like with the Anaheim game, but again, that was opening day, a little bit different. You're against the Ducks too. So, we weren't sure how real they were as a team. This tells me that Lane Lambert can make those intermission adjustments, those between period adjustments. And not only can he identify things and communicate that to the team, but the team is going to listen to it. They're going to go out the next period. They're going to implement those things and they are going to play better, right? If we see this team play bad, they're not going to come out in the next period and play worse. And that is just a huge, huge leap from where this team was last year and where this group was last year. I liked it. Somebody on Discord, forgive me, I don't remember who posted it, but they talked about how with that Vince Dunn interview after the first period, he talked a lot about what the Kraken weren't doing that they need to be doing, and then of course what they need to be doing in order to be successful. And the comment on Discord was like, wow, last year they would have already felt defeated, right? Like after a first period like what we had tonight, that first intermission interview, the player would have really felt and sounded defeated. And Vince Dunn didn't sound that way. He sounded upset, like he knew they were not playing their game. He knew that that was a problem. We all knew that that was a problem, but he went out there and then he was able to him and the rest of the group were able to adjust from there. And so again, as the Kraken face these new adversities, they are finding ways of answering them and answering them in a significant way. The fact that you were able to get a point out of this game after you were down 3-0 is so substantial. It's such a big deal. That's just huge. Super chat here from Becca. Appreciate it, Becca. Shane Wright has a point per game against Montreal this season. That he does. He does always seem to score a goal when the Kraken are playing the Montreal Canadiens, at least here in Seattle, doesn't he? It's a great thing to see that. So as soon as he scored, I mean, obviously excited because it pulls the Kraken within one. That's a huge deal. It was a beautiful goal as well, stepping up into that shot. Beautiful setup from Brandon Montour. But the first thing that I thought of was I was like, oh, I wonder what like r/Canadiens looks like right now. I can't help it. Of course, their guy, Slavkovsky, was able to pick up a power play goal in this one. It was a great, setup on the power play for Montreal there, so he was able to get that one. But as whenever Shane does this stuff against the Canadiens, right, I can't help but just think like, oh, I wonder what's going on over there in Habs land. But no, Shane, that was a big goal for him. He's kind of really cooled off. It felt like these last couple games, this last week or so, and so I think it was really important for him to get a goal and kind of score like that. And again, step up into a shot, be aggressive, take that scoring opportunity. It's just a big deal. It's just a big deal. And I love seeing it. And I want to see that more from him. I mean, that's really what we've been calling for so much of this season, is just for him to be more aggressive. He has the tools. He has the skill set. Go out there and use it, bud. So good stuff there. And appreciate it, again, the super chat as well, Becca. Really means a lot to us. We'll take the gutsy point from Mason. I sure will. Again, if you're gonna like get outplayed for 40 minutes in a game and you could still walk out of there with a point, you kind of have to take that. I know it was, hard because all the momentum was in the Kraken's favor. Kraken are come back, they force overtime and all that stuff. So it's really exciting. And then they drop it so fast in overtime as well. But I think that, again, at the end of the day, we got to remember, if you had offered us that point with 10 minutes to play, we all would have taken it. We all would have been just fine. So I think that's the important part in this one. Bryce with just the comment that is just Brandon Montour. Again, player of the game for me in this one. Fantastic night for Brandon Montour. Picks up the 2 goals, gets the primary assist on the Shane Wright play. Just again, stepping up when the Kraken needs him the most. And this is not anything new with Brandon Montour. We've seen this from him in the past. He is one of those guys that when the Kraken are struggling in a game, he is able to go out there and make a play and steal some of that momentum back from the other team, give it to Seattle, and they're able to kind of go off from there. He is just such a special player at being able to create things. And the great thing about him is that he can create things in different way, whether it's, he's able to kickstart a rush, or he's able to kickstart a breakout for the Kraken. Or in this one, it's him stepping up and him scoring and him shooting and him wanting the puck in those positions and being able to, have it find its way through traffic and get there. He's just such a special player, and he's just so what he brings to this team is just so needed sometimes, right? And tonight was definitely one of those nights. But fantastic night for him again. Really, really happy for him to have this night, and I'm sure it meant a lot to him after everything that he's gone through with his brother's passing this past week. So that was nice as well. Still second in the Pacific for Mason. Again, you take those points, you take the OTLs, especially against a good team like Montreal. That's the way to do it. Got to bank these points for the end of the year. These points count just the same as the points at the end of the year. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. Ethan, somebody's got to be more willing to shoot prior to the third period. Start throwing pucks at the net in the third, and finally started finding success. I'm with you. Again, I think the first period was it was a little bit odd, right? Like Kraken seemed very passive. They were very willing to let Montreal kind of control and dictate everything. Odd choice from them. Very odd choice. But, Kraken They were able to figure it out. And again, it's one of those things where the more that we're seeing games like this, it means that we don't have to freak out as fast, right? Like the first period, they have a rough first period. I think like after this game and after some of the other games we've seen, I'm not gonna freak out. I'm gonna be like, okay, let's see what Lane Lambert and the rest of the group has. Because there's a good chance that they do have an answer and that they're going to go out there and try to correct things. But I'm with you, Ethan. This is not a team that necessarily generates a lot of shots. So like seeing a a depressed shot total from this group is not too out of the norm, but they weren't doing any of the other things that they're used to doing, right? Like this is a team that doesn't shoot a lot, but when they shoot, it's supposed to be high quality. They weren't really doing that. They weren't getting a lot of the breakout opportunities. They weren't getting those odd man rushes that we really talked about a lot yesterday on the deep dive. They weren't getting a lot of traffic net front. And then I think that's really the big thing is that once they got that traffic net front, you get the 2 goals from Brandon Montour from the point, right? You're able to generate offense from a little bit further out. I mean, even the Shane goal is him scoring from a bit of distance with a lot of traffic kind of net front. I mean, Dobosh probably saw that shot. He was a little out of position there on that one, which, we'll take it. But I think that's, again, another one of those things that you look for in this one is just, it goes to show you have to have that effort. You have to go to those areas of the ice because that's where this team finds success. It's not necessarily about the amount of shots. It's the quality of the shots that they're getting. And tonight it just took them a while to get back to the formula. Maddie, post-game live might be cursed. We may have to switch to a post-week live instead. No. Don't say that. Don't say that. They got a point. It's fine. They had to come back. It's fine. Leave us alone. Heather, I was so hoping they would say it slipped under the net. I know that was a really awkward one. We really did not. It was not clear what happened on that one to us live. I mean, we saw Cole Caulfield kind of make the move. We saw that Joey was going to push across. Caulfield recognized that, cuts back, tries to stick it in there. I really thought Joey was there at first. And then all of a sudden you could just see it sitting behind Joey. And it was just, again, it was so anticlimactic. It was so depressing after everything else that the Kraken were doing in this one. It played so well. I mean, there's so many good things, but oh well, it happens. And again, at least they were able to get a point. It wasn't like a tie game with a couple seconds left and that ended up happening, right? Like you're at least able to walk out of here with something. And I think hold your head up high about the fact that you were able to come back in this one at all. And I think that's something. Sean Monty is special. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Andy, I'll take the point. Any point is going to be valuable with the parity in this division and league as a whole right now. Yeah, especially with this division because Central is so competitive. Pacific is not going to be competitive this year. Would not be surprised if the Central took both wild card spots again. And so really the path for the Kraken is going to be, Vegas is going to be there in the division with one of those 3 spots. Edmonton is starting to figure it out now here. I mean, they had a big comeback in their game today and picked up the W. You have to assume that Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and friends are going to be able to lock down one of those top 3 spots in the Pacific. That leaves one spot up for grabs, essentially, as a path to the postseason. It's going to be big for the Kraken to try to secure that one over teams like LA or Vancouver. And so all of these points are going to matter. The fact that, again, you have more wins and more OTLs than you have regulation losses is huge. If you're able to keep that up, there's a good chance that you can find yourself in that conversation come mid-April. And so I think, you take this point and you just go for it. Christian, after dominating the Habs over the years, not going to lie, it kind of hurts to see a rebuilding team become competitive while the Kraken's future is still uncertain. I understand what you're saying, Christian, right? They both kind of started their journey to becoming, kind of go on the upswing at the same time. Montreal does seem to be maybe a step or two ahead of the Kraken, but look at it this way. Montreal's proving that the formula does work, right? Given enough time and given the ability to develop your young players, it does work. Montreal, similar thing to the Kraken, a lot of draft picks, took a lot of guys. Montreal was in more of a position because they weren't an expansion team. They were a team that was going through a proper rebuild. They were in a position, we talked a lot about this up on the press bridge tonight, a guy like Lane Hudson, they were able to give him minutes. They were able to give him opportunities that most teams would not give a young defenseman like that. And that was big for his development. You look at Slavkovsky, top 6 player right away. He was able to be given first line minutes in his rookie and second season and allow him to develop and learn those lessons. There were rough patches. There were times he was demoted. I think he was even scratched a couple times. But the point stands that Montreal was able to truly kind of bottom out. They didn't have to worry about building a brand. They didn't have to worry about building a fan base. They didn't have to worry about the expectations of being an expansion team. They were able just to really give all those young guys that ice time and that runway to develop. And then they put in the work and they helped develop them. They found a coach like Marty St. Louis that was able to help them do that. And I think with the Kraken, because they had those expectations of being an expansion team, because they had all those veterans from the expansion draft kind of clogging up the works, it's just going to take them a little bit more time. But we're already seeing it with the young players, right? We're seeing it with Matty Beniers kind of taking a step forward this year. We're seeing it with Shane Wright coming in and being able to hold down that middle 6 center spot. We're seeing it with a guy like Berkeley Catton, who in just his 5th game is up to 3 points already as a 19-year-old. And so I understand where you're coming from, Christian, but I think that there's another way of looking at it, and that's to look at it and say, like, okay, that's the model, that's the blueprint. Let's go out there, and that's the proof that this can work, and we just got to give it a little bit more time. At least that's how I'm going to choose to look at it, because I'm trying to be optimistic tonight. I'm sure, hit me up some other time. The answer may vary. Generally looked absolutely terrible for 3/4 of this game, and we didn't deserve to win. Monty's a beauty. Yeah, I mean, they definitely had to fight and claw their way back in this one. There is no doubt about that. That was definitely something that they had to do. But hey, they did it, and that's what's important, is that this team doesn't give up. That we're back to the Kraken being like the Goonies, right? Never say die. I'm super pumped about that, right? Like I'm super pumped about that. I miss that as a part of the team identity. It makes certainly doing this a lot easier. But I think that it's really important, and I think it's something that they needed to get back, and thankfully this year's squad has it, and I'm very happy about that. Kylie, ECH curse, 3rd straight loss for the live stream. You cursed us with the change up. On a serious note, we fought, but I hate Montreal. Lol. Yes. Again, hopefully it's not a curse. We'll see if it is. If it really continues, we'll look at maybe changing something up. Maybe. We'll have to look at that. Reading ID felt like a test to face an opponent for the 2nd time. Mixed results, but it didn't feel like the Habs had their number or anything. I agree with that, right? First time this year. Good point that Kraken are facing a team that they've already seen. I think it helps that it's an East Coast team, probably not putting in, 1,000% effort and home in studying homework and systems and all of that kind of stuff, the way you might see if you're, if we're going to go play teams in the division or at least within the conference. But I'm with you. I mean, these teams saw each other not that long ago. I don't feel like anything Montreal was doing was specifically like designed to be a system killer for this Kraken squad. And I think that that's big. I don't think that there are a lot of obvious weaknesses with what the Kraken are doing right now. It just comes down to what RJ and I have been talking about all along, which is just team needs to go out there, and it's just going to come down to effort level. If they put in that effort, they're going to be able to pick up wins. And if they don't put in that effort, you're going to have, the first 40 minutes of this game, right? Where things are not going well for them. So I think that that's a lot of it. And, we'll kind of see how that goes from here. Be able to talk about Catton. I mean, great from Catton. I love his vision as well. Maddie, I see that comment in here. Again, really rough game for him up until that 3rd period. I still think he's probably the one coming out realistically if we see something with Capo Caco for that Rangers game. That's kind of what I see. Pizza Steve, I imagine Stevenson is always out there because despite the low energy effort, he is definitely our best or at least most consistent face-off player. Wish he would work with some of the other centers. Yeah, I mean, Freddie Gaudreau being out certainly hurts the face-off department for this squad. Young guys are starting to improve. Like Matty has had some real flashes this year, being good on the dot. But yes, I think again for the overtime thing, Chandler Stevenson, veteran player, good on the face-off dot. Overtime 3-on-3, especially kind of the idea of controlling the puck, I feel like suits his game more than 5-on-5. So I understand kind of, going out there with him. Seattle Nomad, Dylan, what are your thoughts on Beniers' shooting struggles? Should it influence coach's strategy if it persists? I'd have to look at like the exact numbers where his shooting percentage is this year. I mean, we can certainly ask RJ because RJ has always had an idea around this question, and so I'll go ahead and bring him in here because RJ is ready to join us. RJ, the question I was just asked was, what I think about Matty Beniers' shooting struggles, and if at some point maybe Coach Lambert is going to have to change things up because he just can't seem to put the puck in the back of the net right now.
Well, you're right. I do have an opinion on this. I've had an opinion on this for at least a couple of years now, and watching a lot of Matty Beniers and him shooting the puck. Really, I've been saying this for years, but I think he needs to vary his shot selection. As far as the area of the net that he targets, it's so predictable. He has the same kind of longer wind up for a wrist shot, and he always tends to target that area right above the glove side pad and right below the glove. That's where he likes to go, and it's not a bad place to go. He's got a really good shot to that spot. But if you're a goaltender who's done his homework and knows shooters' tendencies, you're going to know that that's probably where he's going, and he just does it all too often. It's too predictable. And the thing with Matty Beniers, too, he has good shooting talent. He's able to pick the top corners of the net and find his spots. He just doesn't really try it very often. And so I'd like to see him vary that shooting selection. Maybe that's something Lane Lambert should work with him on. But as a newer coach, too, I wouldn't have expected him to see that pattern and pick up on it quite yet, just because he hasn't been coaching the team for all that long, but maybe he'll see it at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. How was the atmosphere kind of after this one, right? Because I could see it kind of going both ways, right? Team fought hard. They were able to correct a lot of their mistakes that they had through the vast majority of this game, if we're being honest, right? But they're able to force overtime, pick up the point, but it all came kind of crashing down unceremoniously with the Cole Caulfield goal there in overtime.
Yeah, and I think the atmosphere from the players and the coach after the game maybe matched how the fans might have felt, how the energy felt in this one. I know you turned to me and said it's kind of the most anticlimactic game this way could have ended. But you know what? I'm actually pleased with that. Not how it ended, but I'm pleased with the reaction from everybody. Shane Wright said just we were off pretty much all night. We were off. Brandon Montour talked about how they didn't play well for most of the game, and there wasn't a whole lot of willingness to credit what they did in that comeback. Of course, they did acknowledge it as far as the things that worked and ask questions about, okay, what made the power play work at the end, what got that working. But as far as the overall body of work, it did not seem like a room full of players that were happy with what they did tonight. I think they know they need to do better. They know they need to play better. And I think Lane Lambert knows that. And I think he knows that the group knows it. So he wasn't too harsh on them, but I think he made it pretty clear that for most of the game, they did not play the way they wanted to play.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. It's obvious really to everybody who watched this one, certainly based on chat.
But one of the things that bothered me a lot last season was the group seemingly being content with playing games. Usually they'd get a win against a bad team, but they'd make a lot of mistakes and that sort of thing. And it really did bother me over the course of the season where they just didn't seem like everybody where it sank in that they didn't play well, that they needed to do better if they got away with it. And I don't think we're seeing that, at least after tonight. So I was really pleased with the reaction from everybody.
Yeah, good. No, that's good to hear. It's good to hear. I have thoughts on this. We'll see if you have thoughts on this, RJ. From Steven. Thoughts on the missed calls by the refs tonight? Counted at least 3 very blatant penalties on Montreal, plus the puck in the net at the end of the third that they let go. Worked out, I guess. I don't want to totally take over this topic, RJ, so I'll let you kind of share your thoughts first here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was not the best game from the officials. It seemed like there were some missed calls, there were some soft calls one way and then makeup calls the other way. I thought at least it kind of cut both ways. I don't think one team benefited from it a whole lot more than the other team. I mean, the Kraken did have twice as many power plays as Montreal. The jersey grab on Catton, there was, I mean, the first penalty against Montreal was really soft. They didn't show a replay, I think, on the broadcast or in here. Because it was such a weak penalty call. So, it wasn't the overall best body of work from the officials, in my opinion, but it did cut both ways. Um,
Okay. Should be back.
All right. Was that on your end or mine? Could we tell?
My lap, like the Wi-Fi like disappeared. Like
Okay.
CPA's Wi-Fi like went away for a while there. So
Yeah. Okay. So same happened on my phone. So I think everybody
yeah,
lost both of us for a little while.
yeah. All right. So yeah, I agree with what you were saying about the missed calls there. The thing that I wanted to add to it is just that look, the missed calls, some of them seemed pretty egregious. That's a problem. Whatever. But you have to, this game still came down to special teams, right? Like, you can't control the refs. Stuff like that's going to happen from time to time. Hopefully, it doesn't happen too often. You still have to take care of things on special teams. And this was yet another game in which the Kraken, it was a 1-goal game. Like we said, so many of these games are going to be this year. And as I talked about yesterday on the deep dive, the special teams are going to make the difference in these 1-goal games. And sure enough, that was the case tonight, right? Montreal scores both their goals on the power play. Kraken 0 for 3 on the power play for a long time. If they're able to get one sooner, maybe a lot of things change. They're able to kind of pull themselves together a little bit sooner. As it was, I mean, Kraken still 1 for 4 on the power play. I think those are a lot of opportunities for this game to go down differently than the way that it went down. And the Kraken were just not able to take care of any of them. They were not able to take care of things on the back end when down a man. They were not able to really even generate shots. Like their first power play, they had 1 shot on goal. Like those things are the things that are going to be kind of, I don't want to say unacceptable, but they're the things that are going to make the difference. As we've been kind of saying all season, they are the things that are going to make the difference. And I think they made the difference here tonight. Incredible that you were still able to get the 1 point. But I think if you had done a little bit better at either end on special teams, you probably find a way to get 2 in this one.
Yeah, it gets harder to drive that point home when you do score 2 goals late and have this miraculous comeback. But I'm telling you, most of the time, you're not going to be able to get away with that. You're going to lose in regulation if you're 0% on the PK and lose the special teams battle in the way the Kraken did. Like, it's one of those where, again, I'm happy with the response from the team because it seems like they've internalized that, yeah, that has to be better. And they can't just get away with that every night because it's just not going to be repeatable.
Yeah. It's one of those. So I lost some of the chat in here just because of the Wi-Fi cutting out there. But there was one. It was from, I think it was random on X, and they were basically asking, is somebody going to step up, RJ, and become the guy for this team in the scoring department, or are they going to have to continue to score by committee? And I think, I mean, you have a guy who is close to being the guy for you, but unfortunately he's on IR right now.
Yeah, we don't know when Jared McCann's going to come back. He's the closest thing that to being the guy that you potentially have. But no, the way this team is built, they're going to have to be able to score by committee. There's no other option, really. They don't have a star who's going to be the guy. They never really have. And so you look at the Kraken historically, they've only really had success when they've been getting contributions from everybody.
Right. They don't have, a Cole Caulfield, right? Like Cole Caulfield finds a way to score most nights, obviously picks up 2 tonight. And that's a big deal for the Canadiens. He's up to 9 goals this season. I mean, Kraken just don't have somebody capable of doing that at all.
No, he's a special player, and you can see the difference when you're watching the game out on the ice. Like, Kraken don't have anybody like that. They never have.
Yeah. Super chat here from JTB Hockey. Appreciate the super chat. Solid comeback tonight. 1 point is better than 0 points. Time to go on a streak with the next 4 games being very winnable. Hashtag release the Kako. So Cabo Kako potentially coming back for the next one. RJ, I mean, I answered it earlier a little bit. Do you think we see him against his former team later on this week?
I'm feeling optimistic, so I'll just go with yes. And that's not really based off of anything. I mean, we have seen him kind of return to practice, not take line rushes yet, but man, wouldn't it be perfect for him to come back just in time for the revenge game and the first time they're wearing the 3rd jerseys and all of that? I think that'd be really exciting. So I'm just, given the way this season's going, I'm just going to choose to believe that the good thing will happen.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's he's got a lot of time too. I mean, it's such a weird gap now for the Kraken, not playing again until Saturday. It's a little awkward feeling, but yeah, I think so. Let's see. Are we sure Dylan isn't just Chat GPT in a meat suit? That's from Julia. You of all people should hopefully know the answer to that, Julia. Talking about the crash.
I don't think that'd be very good for you, Julia.
No, probably not. Zach, shout out Shane for really turning it around this game. Seems like a tough first period for him getting bodied, but he really turned it on. I talked about Shane Wright and his performance against Montreal a little bit earlier, RJ. Just wondering if you have thoughts on how he played in this one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he, probably wasn't too thrilled with his game for most of this one. And I know earlier on in the game too, we were talking about that line just not really having much of a purpose. It felt like they didn't really know what they were trying to accomplish specifically on the ice, and where to go. And it just felt like kind of the leftovers line again. But at the end there, I mean, the only time the team really did look good, I thought Shane was part of that, and he kind of helped, put everything together and put himself in a good shooting position on his goal. But overall body of work, same as the team, really. I'd say it was bad for a while and then got good at the end.
Yeah. What do you think of the line blender in this one? I mean, there's lots of thoughts about that in here as well, just kind of spread out. Nothing super specific to call out. But what do you think of how Lane kind of handled the situation with the lines in this one?
Yeah, and usually I'm anti line blender, but given the level of effort in this one early on, especially in the first period, I'm okay with it. Trying to switch some things around and see what sticks, and maybe try and reward the couple guys who are playing well, and move down the guys who really aren't. I think there was a lot of that. I liked seeing Ty Karche up with some of the higher lines, just given the effort that he was putting in on that fourth line early on in the game. So I'm okay with it in this instance. And I mean, at the end of the day, he did find some stuff that clicked, albeit briefly.
Right. And Jenna saying it was a Hail Mary. It was. I mean, the team was getting outplayed for 40 minutes. You got to do something, and that is one of the buttons that a coach can press, without having to go to the locker room during an intermission, something like that. And they were able to get something to work a little bit. And right as I'd asked that question, Kylie came in with, I don't know, historically when we've had success, then switched up the lines, it doesn't go well right away. Maybe this year will be different, in reference to Capo Caco potentially coming back. So a little bit of a different lineup question there. That is something that I'm like a little bit worried about, but it does feel like that Matty Beniers line has cooled off enough, RJ, that if Jordan Eberle was to be taken off of that line and Capo Caco was to be inserted on Matty's right side, I don't think I would hate making that move right away.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd asked me 5 hours ago, I would say probably not. Don't do that. Don't switch it up. But after seeing what I saw tonight, I'd be okay with it. Bringing Kako back in that position, I think that might help give the line a jolt, and also seeing Capo Kako maybe be able to not just open up space for someone like Berkeley Catton, but maybe to get to areas as a finisher too, where Catton can find him. Because I know Catton, especially watching him tonight. I'm curious what you think on this. So I'll ask you this question at the end of like whether you thought that it was still kind of his worst game of the five. But man, he just wants to pass the puck. Yeah. It doesn't matter if he has a shooting opportunity or whatever. He is looking to make a play to somebody else. And I think Kako could work well with that because he's pretty good at getting open. But Dylan, I'm curious what you think, though. You said it to me earlier during the game that you thought this was kind of Catton's worst of the five. Do you still think that after the full 60, however many it was?
No, probably not. And I talked about this earlier before you joined, and I'd mentioned that to you.
Oh, okay.
I do think like it was a really rough first two periods for him. I thought he picked it up in the third period. That being said, I mean, I'm with you. He doesn't take shots. I think that there's still a lot that he needs to learn and go out there and try to do. I think it's just, it's a big ask out of a 19-year-old to come in, and especially on a team like this where there is the guy that you could go and potentially be paired with, or that you could go and do something with, right? Like it is a team that requires everybody to kind of step up and go for it. And we're seeing the same issue with like Shane Wright, right? Where it's like, again, step up, go for it. Like, nobody else is going to do it, essentially. Like one of you has to be the one to do this. And I think that Berkeley's not ready for that right now. He doesn't look ready for it. I think that he has the potential to be that guy in the future. I mean, he's always going to be a little bit pass first. He is more of a playmaker than a goal scorer naturally. But I think that right now, just given the way that this team is kind of built, I don't think that he's the answer to kind of what ails them in the offensive department. And so I think that, if they were to take him out of the lineup with Capo Caco returning, I don't think I would hate it.
No, and I mean certainly not as he's kind of getting up there in games too.
Yes. Again,
he's only has a few more before you got to make a decision on the ELC.
Right. Only 4 more opportunities before you do it. I mean, if Capo Caco comes back and they take him out, you could start the clock ticking, right? You could scratch him for the 5 games, maybe send him down for the conditioning stint now, and then bring him back up. Maybe he gets in a couple games before Team Canada camp for the World Juniors in December. Who knows? Um, it'll be
You could
interesting to
even
see
leave
kind of what the direction they go with.
you could even leave yourself maybe a couple games after World Juniors potentially to kind of see where he's at after the CV stint and World Juniors. Has he reached another step or another level, and then how does he mesh with the NHL team? Like, you got options.
Exactly. But if he's going to stay in the lineup and play, say, Saturday, those options, I mean, it become pretty limited very fast. So we'll see what they end up doing with him. Andrew, though, on talked about Berkeley Catton. Have we addressed the little cat, big cat nicknames? I don't think we have yet. I don't know that
I
the
don't think
team has
so.
really done much with it either.
No, they really haven't.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
surprised. It
everybody's
feels
got to
like the
get
kind
on
of
that.
thing a social team might lean into.
Yeah, everybody's got to get on that. Got to
And
get
then
on
there's who is it? I mean, it's Riker, but it was an interesting cat. As Dunn's like,
that.
he's an
Yes.
interesting cat. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's room there for some stuff potentially. Pizza Steve, thoughts on Freddie's return? Current 4th line looks really energetic and fun, strong possession time, etc. Would hate to lose that despite a good vet coming back. So where does he go? Back in for Myers? I mean, he's going to be out still for a little bit, right? So
Yeah, I think the timeline is in terms of weeks.
yeah, so we'll have plenty of time with this 4th line. That being said, we're fans of this fourth line. I talked about them earlier, RJ. I'll let you talk about them now, but they're at times tonight they were the best line for the Kraken, or the only line really. It felt like through the first couple periods.
Yeah, and I think it felt like the only line with any kind of a killer instinct. It was actually, maybe trying to generate stuff or get on top of pucks. I mean, I know at intermission, that's what you were talking to some people about, was just how the Kraken were a step behind for every loose puck battle and really everything they needed to be. And the 4th line was the exception of that. They were on top of the opponents. And I know they are getting easier matchups, and so it's easier to do that, but still, they were bringing that extra step. And I think that's why someone like a Ty Karche got promoted. But I also love what I've seen from Ben Myers. He's so smart. He knows
Yes.
the situation that he's in and why he's being called up and exactly what he's supposed to bring. And it's smart plays with the puck. It's trying to win little battles along the wall. It's bringing that extra little bit of physicality when it calls for it. And you can tell he's just like, this is a veteran player who has really good habits, and there's a reason that he's sticking around and is getting these call ups still at this point in his career.
Yeah, and he fits the system so well too, right? Like he wants to be a north-south player. He likes the ability to kind of go out there and try to win with the breakouts. And I think he understands how defensively, especially in the system as a centerman, he's got to play back. He's got to be potentially the one to start that breakout, not necessarily join it as it's developing. He really understands how to do that. Like we've seen him create some breakouts for that 4th line in some very interesting ways, different from anybody else on this team. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from Ben Myers, and it is very different than what we were seeing from Freddie. We didn't get to see a lot of Freddie Gaudreau, and so it's kind of hard to compare them. But right now, based on what I'm seeing, yeah, I wouldn't want anything to change if I was Coach Lane Lambert.
If this team didn't have a million wingers, I'd say, oh, just put Gaudreau on the wing when he comes back, and have Ben Myers stay as the 4, see if it's still working like this. But like, where's the spot for him?
I
I don't
know.
know.
There is none. Chuck, Berkeley and Shane, both over 16 minutes tonight. Shane was likely in a funk after hearing Armchair GM last night. And finally got mad enough to score. That or is against Montreal at home, RJ. So, of course, he had to score as he usually does. But I do like seeing both guys get that ice time tonight.
I do too. I mean, good opportunity for the two of them. And I don't think a lot of the other players out there really stepped up and kind of earned it and said, hey, to the coach, like, this needs to be mine in their play. And so I'm happy with that. Yeah, I just like seeing the young guys get opportunity. It's easy to forget with the Kraken picking up points and we're talking about wins or whatever, that development is still something that's very important this season, or at least should be, for guys like Catton and Wright. And that does take opportunity there. Yeah, as far as the Armchair GM stream, yeah, I did talk about something the two of us had talked about together a little bit about, if they're going to trade for a star player, who might need to be going the other way.
Yeah, it at least makes sense that he would be. We talked about the 4th line a little bit. There's a lot of conversation in here. Jenna is kind of maybe pushing back on the 4th line, or at least wondering, why we're kind of praising this fourth line, what it is that they're doing out there. I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit, like with the breakouts. I think they're doing a really good job with that. I mean, this comment from Jenna, I'm watching a different game. They look so underwhelming. I want to scream, and they keep tripping over their own skates. I don't expect them to score. It'd be great if they did, but they look clumsy. And then an earlier one about them kind of being physically dominated. I will say that, yes, for a fourth line, they are not going to be bruisers. They're not going to impose themselves physically. That is not, they are small guys, right? Ben Myers, especially small dude to be a fourth line, kind of, if you're going to have a checking line kind of role in this league. That is not what his game is going to be. But again, the way they're winning is through possessing the puck and being able to break out of the defensive zone. And yeah, they're not going to score a lot. No fourth line's going to score a lot. That's just not going to happen with them. But what they were able to do is what they were able to do tonight, which was stop the bleeding. They were able to go out there, and when the rest of the Kraken team was not performing, they were able to perform. They were able to get the puck away from Joey Decord, give him a breather, give the defense a breather, give the team a chance to regroup a little bit, and just put a little bit of pressure on Montreal. Don't allow Montreal to totally cheat up into the offensive zone and really let things get out of hand. And I think that this fourth line is uniquely able to do that. I hear what you're saying, Jenna, as far as, Ryan Winterton's not going to be a superstar in the National Hockey League. Ben Myers isn't ever going to be anything above a fourth line centerman in the National Hockey League. Like, you're not wrong on that. But what this fourth line needs to do, at least with this team, is that when the games go bad, like the first two periods of this game wins, they can go out there and they can at least give the rest of the guys an opportunity to get their stuff together and come out and play a little bit differently, and that they don't allow the momentum just to continuously build and snowball in favor of the opposing team.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing is just when they're out there, a whole lot of nothing happening. And I understand why you would say, well, that's quite underwhelming. A whole lot of nothing is going on. But in situations like this, that can be a fourth line's job. It's just to make sure that nothing is happening because it's better than what's going on when they're on the bench.
Yeah, definitely. And Chuck saying the fourth line was by far the best in the Winnipeg game, at least by the numbers, as far as shot attempts and expected goals there. So yeah, I mean, they were something else in that game. That game was crazy.
They actually did attack in that one.
Yeah. Question for you, RJ, from Christian here. This is very RJ coded question.
Oh, here we go.
Is Berkeley Catton a kitten or a cub?
Oh. Oh, that's a good question. It is a tough one. I don't know. I guess I'd leave just again the whole pass first. After seeing this game, I'd go kitten.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
If I'm basing it largely on this game, it's kitten.
I would personally, I would split it, and I would say if the player is a forward, they're a kitten. If they're a defenseman, they're a cub.
Okay, that's
that might
split
be
that I think works most of the time.
Yeah. There might be some differences, like a Lane Hudson maybe comes to town. You got to shake it up a little bit. But I think for the most part, that's probably how I would split things there. Sean asking, after 10 games, do you have any thoughts on Marchman's fit? He was noticeably out of it tonight. We both definitely have thoughts on Mason Marchman. Could have filled a lot of tonight's post game with that. I do think that, again, tonight, RJ was one of the nights where he didn't look like he really had a place he belonged in this lineup.
No, and from the start, I think we talked about this in past either post games or podcasts, but I just don't think he fits the system very well. The type of game he plays is just not, I don't know, it's not what you want from your forwards under a Lane Lambert system, especially when you add in the discipline issues, the penalties that he takes sometimes, that sort of stuff just doesn't really work. But it still made sense to go out and get him from an asset management perspective. Yeah. And then also off-ice stuff just in the room, because a big part of this is fixing the culture. And I think he's one of the guys in the room that's going to try and make sure that everybody is working hard and staying up to that standard of just how they need to play, even if the fit isn't there on the ice.
Right, and he's able to go out there and pester and annoy the other team and throw them off their game. Like, there's value there at times. And certainly what he brings to the fan base is big, right? I mean, we had, I think, our biggest tweet ever was the for flinching tweet, right? And he gets the crowd fired up. Like, the fan base loves him, and there is something to be said for bringing in players that have the potential to do that, particularly on a team like this that, as we talked about earlier, doesn't have somebody in the scoring department that can be the guy, right? There isn't that superstar that everybody is going to be clamoring for. So you do need to bring in character guys to help get everybody excited. And I think that he fills that role very well. He gives the fans something to cheer about, even if the game is not going well. He's somebody who can step up in those moments and do that. And so I think that, you know, there's still some positives there that he brings. I'm totally with you in the culture department too. He seems like he's been great fit for them off the ice and everything, and that's certainly nothing to sneeze at. But yeah, I don't really know what he's supposed to do in the system. He looks, you said out of it in the comments there. Yeah, I think that's an appropriate way to phrase it. So we'll see. And Andrew's saying yes, he did, however, create possibly the best moment of the season. He did. He is good at that.
And when it's picked up on Sports Center, you're doing something right.
Exactly. All right, we'll do like a 10-minute last call thing here. If I lost a ton of chat when everything crashed, so if I didn't get to a question earlier, you still have it. Feel free to put it in to chat now here. Striatic asking, what's the report card on Ryan Lindgren, RJ?
I mean, if I had to give a grade, I don't know. It's very early in the season to give a grade.
It's still TBD on the grade. That's too early.
Okay, TBD on the grade. It's incomplete, as it is for everybody. But not great. I mean, he's getting caved in a whole lot. He spent a lot of time in his D zone. I like the compete level. I like the effort and the battles. Like he's certainly trying out there. He's definitely trying. But he's spending way too much time in his D zone, and it results in like the penalty that he took tonight, where that line just getting caved in all shift, and it means that he ends up taking a penalty, and Montreal scores on the power play. I just think at this point he's just not very good.
Yeah, I unfortunately have to agree with that. Like second line, second pairing, really don't like it, right? Like
he's a third pairing guy.
Is really where he should be. He brings a physical element. He's able to help on the PK. He's able to do some of that stuff. But it does feel like when the Kraken are struggling to get out of their zone, when things are snowballing in the defensive zone, he's always one of the two guys on the ice. And that is, at some point, the coincidence becomes, causality. And I think that we're kind of at that point with him. And that's, it's unfortunate. Again, I think that he's doing his presence with this team is doing a lot, and it's correcting a lot of the things that this squad needed. But the play on the ice, at least for the minutes and the role that he's given, it's not always there. And I think that sometimes it can become a hindrance to the team instead of a benefit, unfortunately. Good night to Pizza Steve on the East Coast, 2 a.m. Yeah, it does feel like the right time to go to bed. Go for it, Pizza Steve. Appreciate you being in here and contributing with chat there. Viren, what, if anything, specific is on the agenda for Prospect Chat? Kind of just like a quick summary of kind of where everybody went back to after training camp, because that was really the last time we talked on the Prospect Chat. And then I was kind of thinking that this month and next month would be Firebirds focused, how the young guys are developing down there in Coachella Valley. I've been recording games and kind of go over footage and just talk about how the Firebirds are doing for these next 2 months. And then December would be a World Junior preview. We could look at all the players on junior rosters, the ones that we think are going to potentially go to the World Juniors. We could do that. And then January, we of course look at how the World Juniors went for the players that the Kraken have, whether it's Berkeley Catton, potentially maybe a Jake O'Brien, Blake Fiddler on the D side of things. So, and then all the international guys. So that's kind of like the idea of what I have laid out for the next 4 months of Prospect Chats. So here you go.
Good job planning ahead.
Yeah. More than what you asked for there, Viren. But that is like the idea that I have in my mind for the Prospect Chats over at patreon.com/Emerald City Hockey, if anybody wants to go and check it out. Let's see. Sean, unfortunately, we were getting exactly what was expected out of the veteran new additions. Overall, underwhelming again, Monty excluded. I mean, certainly if you look at the veterans added last year, RJ, plus the ones added this year, I mean, this is the danger of things like free agency. This is the danger of adding guys that are maybe a little bit on the older side, is that, you're not getting their prime years.
Yeah, I mean, that is the danger of free agency. You are getting players just based on how the rules work, generally past their prime to sign a long-term contracts. And so you rarely get the value worth on the contract. And so I think Montour's probably looked the best of all of them so far. But, that's one of the issues, right? And so that's why you have to try and build your team via the draft and via trades. So that's really the way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Jeremy, it's still early, but what player has surprised you the most from last year to this year? Who, RJ, for you has taken that big step from last year to this year? Because there's guys that were good last year and they're continuing to be good. Brandon Montour, right? Like we just
Yeah,
talked about.
no surprise with what he's done. Yeah.
No real surprise. But that is a good question, kind of thinking about who's kind of taken a step from last year to this year. There is somebody I do have in mind.
Okay.
I don't know if you have one and you want to start or not.
I mean, it's kind of a quiet type performance. I'll start here, but Jamie Alexiak, and maybe it shouldn't be too much of a surprise just because I figured this system would be a really good fit for him, but I think it certainly has been. Like, I mean, how many times did we notice him last season making some mistake or being out of position? Just clearly the Bilesma scheme not fitting him at all. And this year, we're not seeing any of that. He's just been solid, steady back there.
Yeah, no,
and
I
even
think
having to play on the right side too with Riker Evans out.
Yeah,
it's not an easy transition for most guys, but he's doing it seamlessly.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great pull. I mean, really, my guy is, and it could be guys, really, and we've already talked about them a little bit, but like Ryan Wichita and Ty Cartier, like
figured that's where you're going.
Like they didn't look like they should be in the NHL last year.
Yes,
as we just talked about, they're holding it down on the fourth line right now, and they look like an NHL fourth line. And I think that's a big improvement for them. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about Ty's struggles last year. I think he's bounced back in a huge way. He's really embraced this system. He's embraced what he can do to find a role within it and go out there, and he's turned himself back into an everyday NHL player. And that was something that just did not look like what could be the case for him last year. It didn't look like that for Ryan Winterton either. But they were able to kind of go out there and do that. If we're looking like maybe further up the lineup, I'm trying to think.
I feel like a lot of the guys that are doing well further up the lineup were also doing well last season, like Jaden Schwartz. But he had a great season last year. Like,
yeah.
Eberle was good in the time that he played,
Yeah. Jared McCann maybe like bounced back a little bit when he was in the lineup. Maddie's bouncing back a little bit, but maybe not to the extent of those other guys we talked about.
Yeah, so I think that's fair.
Yeah. Lots of love for Jamie Alexiak in here.
Let's go.
Bringing that up, and Ty Cartier there. Yeah, too. Good stuff. Good stuff there. If Lambert awards good play with ice time, wouldn't he appear to be impressed with Catton tonight? I think that's part of the reason why Berkeley Catton was able to get some. And I think it's to, the point that you were making yesterday on the deep dive, and you brought it up earlier in the week too, which is when the Kraken are defending a lead, it makes sense that Berkeley Catton, as a 19-year-old offensively minded forward, is not going to be in your lineup a ton in the third period. Tonight, Kraken were trailing and they needed multiple goals. It makes sense to put in the 19-year-old with the offensive upside when you're in that situation.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that the two games that Berkeley Catton's had the most ice time by far are the two games this season where the Kraken went down 3-0.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it is that simple.
Yeah. Daniel asking Stratic if Stratic asked for favorite goal of the evening. I don't know. I didn't see it if Stratic did, but let's go ahead and answer the question, RJ. What was your favorite goal of the evening?
Oh, man. For me, let's see. I guess I think which Montour goal really was it? I think it was the first Montour goal, the power play. Yes, power play goal from Brandon Montour, because it was putting into action what Vince Dunn talked about in the first intermission. He talked to Piper Shaw, and Piper asked him about, what they can do on the power play to start getting better looks. And Dunner said, they're taking away those down low plays. We don't have those passes down low. We got to work the puck up high and get traffic to the net. And that's exactly what they did on that goal. It took a while for it to finally come together, and I know Dunn wasn't part of it, but that's a message that the whole team should have been receiving, and they finally do it. And they do get rewarded for it. So that's an adjustment that you have to make. Like their power play, they've been wanting to run things down low. Like that's exactly what they've been trying to do. What do you do when it's taken away? You have to adjust. And so I like seeing them getting rewarded for adjusting there.
Yeah, no, I love that one. Mine's the Shane Wright goal, just because it's Shane stepping up and being aggressive, right? It's putting himself in a good goal scoring position, high danger ish area, but really it's him with his stick in the air, asking for the puck and firing it the moment it's there. Like, that's the stuff that, Shane Wright has a good shot. He has one of the better shots on this team. That's what I want to see from him more often. And so for me, it's him stepping up, going to the middle of the ice like that, wanting the shot and taking the shot and getting rewarded for it. So a little bit different, but
it's a
like
good
that.
pick. And you know what? I'm going to burn all the goodwill that I just built up here. You'll enjoy this,
boy.
Dylan. But my actual favorite goal of the game was the Cole Caulfield OT winner.
Yeah.
Because, look, I love that play. He gets Joey Decord's feet moving a little too much and just like sneaks it in there. Such a heads up play. I love that. That is my kind of goal. But anyway, that might be my real favorite.
Yeah, boo this man. Boo this man.
Yep. Go ahead, bring it on. Bring it on.
Get him out of here. All right, that's gonna do it for
Oh no,
on
we're
that
closing
note.
it on that.
On that note, I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself here, RJ. You can tell everybody about the wonderful Queen Anne Beerhall, our sponsor for Post Game Live.
Yes, there we go. All right. So going from that to the Queen Anne Beerhall, that's going to be popular with everybody. And I have some, like, again, not finalized, news here, but I need to, reach in something to gain this goodwill back. But been talking with them. I think as soon as like tomorrow, we might be able to confirm some watch party dates. So really excited about that. And they're on board with having more watch parties this year too. So we're about to get that all set up. So cannot wait to share that all with everybody. And if you're hungry right now and in the area, $5 smash burgers after the game. The medium meal was pretty darn good today. I ate a lot, but that was a while ago. So I don't know, $5 smash burger sounds pretty good.
These overtime games, like it's enough time. You need something else to fuel up before the drive home. I'm with you. I'm loving chat, by the way. They are booing you. Edward, RJ heel turn is real.
I mean, everybody, like, if everyone knows I'm the villain.
Fan cast. Let's go. All right, everybody, that's gonna do it for this post game live. Appreciate everybody spending their evening with us. We will see you all next time.
Au revoir.